So in the last session, we discussed about the table space management, where we have seen different types of table management techniques and what are the default table spaces that we have, and what is the purpose of a table space, and also we have seen what are the different operations that we can perform on a table space. So the next topic in the Postgres database administration is schema management. So to understand the couple of concepts in Postgres, right, the only notation that you need to remember is in Postgres, the Postgres cluster contains, okay, Postgres cluster contains multiple databases. Each database contains multiple schemas, and each schema contains what? Database objects. So if someone asks you to create a schema, first what you need to do, you need to connect to the database in which you need to create the schema. So database contains the schemas and schemas contains the objects. Okay, schemas contains the objects. So with this knowledge, we are going to see what actually a schema is. What actually is schema, right? Schema is a logical entity in Postgres which holds the database object, which holds database objects. Okay, schema is a what? Schema is a logical entity which holds the database objects. A database object can be what? It can be a table, it can be a procedure, it can be a function, it can be a view, or it can be an index, or it can be a trigger as well. So how to create the schemas? So let's say if you want to create a schema, right, first you need to log into the database, or first you need to connect to the database in which you need to create a schema. So schema is what? Schema is a database level thing. Okay, schema is what? A database level thing, whereas table space is a cluster level, which means when you, if someone asks you to create, okay, if someone asks you to create a table space, you can connect to any of the database, because table space is a global database object, global object, whereas schema is a database level object. So if someone asks you to create a schema, then first of all you need to connect to a schema in which you want to create the you need to connect to a database in which you want to connect to the create the schema. So how can you create a schema? So if you want to create a schema, the syntax is create schema, schema name. Okay, create schema, schema name is a syntax to create the schema. So the person whoever executes, okay, the person whoever executes this command will be the owner of the schema. Okay, the person whoever executes will be the owner of the schema. So what is the syntax to create a schema? Create schema, schema name will create a schema in your Postgres database, and the person whoever executes this create schema command will be the owner of the schema. And the next thing that we are going to discuss is whenever you create any database, okay, whenever you create any database, by default a default schema will be created, which we call it as a public schema. Okay, which we call it as a public schema. Okay, whenever you create any database using create database statement, by default a default schema will be created automatically, which we call it as a public schema. And how to list the schemas that are available in the Postgres database? /dn is a command to list the schemas that are available in the particular database, and /dn plus will give you the detailed listing of the schemas along with the size. Okay, /dn and /dn plus is the commands which are used to list the schemas that are available in a particular database. And pg underscore namespace, pg underscore namespace. What is pg underscore namespace? Pg underscore namespace is a data dictionary which contains information about the schemas that are available in the particular database. Okay, schemas that are available in the particular database. Now let's see them. Okay, let me connect to the Postgres database now. Let me increase this font size actually so that it will be more comfortable to you. Okay, now, so let me connect to the Postgres database and let me list this databases that are available in the Postgres cluster. How can I list the databases that are available in the Postgres cluster? /l. So /l is a command to list the databases that are available in the database that are available in the Postgres cluster. Now let me connect to a database called DMS. So the moment I connect to the DMS, so how can you check when you do /c? It will give you through which user you are connected to a particular database. So you are now connected to a database called DMS as a user Postgres. So what is the command to list the schema? /dn. Whenever you do /dn, it is going to list the schemas that are available in the Postgres particular database. So the public is a default schema which is created whenever you create a database, and /dn plus will give you a detailed listing. /dn plus will give you a detailed listing. What does it mean by detailed listing? You will get, okay, you will get, like that, details about the owner and like owner and privilege information. This privileges information we will be discussing during the users and privilege management. Okay, /dn plus, and I was explaining about there is a data dictionary or system table which is like pg underscore namespace. Pg underscore namespace is a data dictionary which contains information about all the schemas that are available in the particular database. So select name from, sorry, what is the column name? NSP name. Select NSP name from pg underscore namespace. So public is a schema, pg toast, pg catalog and information schema. These are the data dictionary schemas which are not visible. So public is a default schema which will get created whenever you create any database. Now let me try to create one schema. Create schema. What is the schema name? The schema name that I am going to create is a app underscore writer or app underscore. So the schema name that I am going to create is a app underscore load. This is the schema that I am going to create. So whenever you create any schema, so as you did not mention any owner name, the person who executes, okay, the person who executes this create schema statement will be the owner of the schema. So as app underscore load is, so I logged in as a Postgres user and created a schema called app underscore load. Who is the owner? Who becomes the owner? Postgres becomes the owner, because through Postgres user only I connect to a database and created a schema. So, and there are a couple of other statements as well to create the schemas. Okay, so the first statement is create schema name. The second statement is create schema name. Authorization. Username. Create schema name, authorization, username. The person who, so whoever you keep here, he will become what? Owner of the schema. He will become the owner of the schema. Let's do this. So how to list the user? /du. So I have a user called demo. Now what I'll do? Create schema test. Okay, create schema test underscore load. Okay, authorization, authorization, username is demo. So when you do this /dn, so for test underscore load, who becomes the owner? So the person, the username, whoever you keep in the authorization keyword, that user becomes the owner of the schema. Okay, that's how you can create. And there is another version to create the schema. So the next thing is create schema authorization demo. Did I mention any schema name here? No, I did not mention any schema name here. So I mentioned create schema authorization demo. Then a schema will be created with the name same as username. Okay, then a schema will be created with the name same as username. Let's do this. Okay, create schema authorization demo. If you do that, so a new schema is created with the name same as username. So if you want to use this authorization keyword, the username whoever you want to keep here, the user should be available in the Postgres cluster. So these are all the various ways or different ways to create a schema in a particular database. And /dn plus and pg underscore namespace are the data dictionaries which are used to list the schemas that are available in the Postgres cluster. So the next thing that we are going to see is how can you create an object in the particular schema. So how can you create, let's say in the demo database, okay, in the DMS database, I have a schema called app underscore load. I have a schema called test underscore load. And I have a schema called public, and I have a schema called demo. So these are the different schemas which are there in my DMS database. Now if someone asks, so how you will create a table in a particular schema? So first what I'll do, I'll create table t1 n space numeric. This is how I am going to create. Okay, so whenever you create any table without specifying a schema name, by default this will get created in which schema? Public schema. Why it is going to get created in the public schema, that we'll be discussing it in a while. Okay, the point that you need to remember here is whenever you create any table without specifying a schema name, by default that table will go and get created in the default schema, which is a public. So if you need to create a schema, if you need to create a table in the app underscore load schema, then what is the syntax? Create table schema name dot table name. What is the schema name? App underscore load dot t1 n space numeric. So if you want to create an object in a particular schema, then you need to append the schema table or object name with the schema name. So create table t1, by default it will go and get created the table in the public schema. The same table t1 it will get created in the app underscore load schema. If you want to create a schema in the demo table, if you want to create objects in the demo schema, then how you need to create table demo dot t1 n space numeric. This is how you will create the objects in a different schema. Okay, so now what I'm in the DMS database. If you want to cross check, so you are now connected to a database DMS as a user of Postgres, and how to list the schema /dn is a command to list the schemas. Now I'm creating a table, create table. Okay, create table app underscore. So now what, create table, first I'm doing t1 n space numeric, right? Now next what I'm trying to do, create table. Let me insert some data. Let me drop this table first. Drop table t1. Okay, now what I'll do, create. Why I have dropped, right? Just I wanted to make it a varchar. So now create table t1 n space varchar of 100. Okay, now insert into t1 values. This is from public schema. Just I'm inserting some data to explain some different concept. Now I wanted to create a table in the app load schema. Okay, create table app underscore load dot t1 n space varchar of 100. Okay, now insert into app underscore load dot t1 schema name dot table name values. This is from app underscore load schema, right? Now how can you check? Okay, how can you check the schema? How can you check in which schema particular table is there? Okay, in which schema particular table is this? There is a data dictionary called pg underscore tables from which you can find out. Okay, there is a data dictionary called pg underscore tables from which you can find out on which schema particular table is exists. So how to describe a table? Slash d pg underscore tables, select schema name comma table name from pg underscore tables where table name equal to t1. See, the table t1 is there in the public schema, as well as the table t1 is also there in the app underscore laid schema. So a table with the same name can be created in the different schemas, or different schemas can hold the table with the same name. This is how you need to, like, this is how we need to check on which schema the particular table is available. So now what are the different and one more thing. So when, as I said, like, whenever you create any table without without specifying a table name, it is going to get created in which schema? Public schema. Why it is going to get created in a public schema, that we are going to discuss now. And one more, so before discussing about that, I'm also going to explain. So I'm also going to explain, like, let me try to select a data from a table. Okay, select star from t1. So when you do not specify anything from where it is going to get the data, so if you remember, whatever the table that we have created in the public schema, there we have inserted some data called this is from the public schema. So whenever you try to select a data from a particular table without specifying a schema name, so then it will get the data from the public schema. How and why it is going to get the data from the public schema, that depends on some special concept called search path. Some special concept called search path, which is very 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 important. Okay, search path. So in Postgres there is a concept of search path. So before discussing about the search path, we need to discuss about how we are trying to create the table and how we were trying to get the data from the table. So what we have done? We have done like select star from t1. This is what we have done. In the next thing, what we can do? Select star from app underscore load dot t1. Let me do this statement as well. Select star from app underscore load dot t1. So now from where it is getting the data? It is getting the data from the table which is there in the app underscore load schema. So where the search path will come into picture, right? So let's say, so this name schema name dot table name, right? This is a schema name dot table name. This we call it as a fully qualified name, FQN, fully qualified name. Okay, so whenever you mention, while creating a object or while retrieving the data from a object, whenever you mention a particular schema name, directly Postgres will go and check whether the table is available in that particular mentioned schema or not. If the table is available, then it will retrieve the data. If not, then it will try to throw an error stating table does not exist. So fully qualified name means schema name dot table name. So when the search path comes into picture, right? So search path is a setting which contains list of schemas. Okay, search path contains a list of schemas separated by comma to where it needs to look into when we do not specify a fully qualified name. Okay, what is search path? Search path is a parameter or setting, okay, which will come into picture when you do not specify a fully qualified name. So when you do not specify a fully qualified name, we should have, or we should let the Postgres know about in which schema it has to look into, right? Because as we did not specify the schema name explicitly, so we have to, in some way, we have to let the Postgres know that when we do not specify a fully qualified name, where you need to go and check. So where it needs to go and check, where it needs to go and check depends upon a parameter called search path. So how can we check the parameter value? Show, right? Show search underscore path. Okay, so when you do like show search underscore path, what is the result it is giving? As I said, search path sorry, as I said, search path is a setting which contain list of schemas separated by comma. So what is the search path setting here? The search path setting here is a dollar user comma public. Dollar user means dollar user will be replaced with the user which you have through which you logged in. So now you are considered as a which user? Postgres. So the current search path value is what? Dollar user comma, thus the current search path value is dollar user comma public, right? So dollar user is as you logged in as a Postgres user, so it will be converted into Postgres comma public. But do we have any schema like Postgres? Let me check. So do we have any schema like Postgres? No, as the schema Postgres does not exist, then it will go and check in the next schema which is public. In the, so let's say in the public schema you have a T1 table, so it gives the result from the T1 table. So what is search path? Search path, when you do not specify a fully qualified name, search path will come into picture. Search path contains a list of schemas separated by commas where it has to Postgres has to look into whenever you do not specify a fully qualified name. So in this case we did a select start from T1 and the search path setting is dollar user comma public. As you logged in as a Postgres user, dollar user resolves to Postgres comma public. And do you have any schema with the name Postgres? No, then it will go to the next schema. So it is a public. In public you have a table called T1. So as the table T1 is available, it will get the data from the T1 table which is there in the public schema. So to understand more on this, now what I'm trying to do, that I'm trying to create a schema called Postgres. Create schema Postgres. Now what I'll do, I'll try to create a table. So create table T1 n space varchar of 100. So when I do this, where this will go and get created? This will go and get created in Postgres schema. Why it will go and get created in the Postgres schema? The search path setting is dollar user comma public, and you logged in as a Postgres user. So the dollar user is replaced with the Postgres comma public, and the first only it is available. So a T1 table got created in the Postgres schema. So when you do like select start from T1, okay, when you do like select start from T1, it returns 0 rows because we haven't inserted any data in the T1 table which is there in the Postgres schema. So let's say, so the point that you need to understand here is the T1 table is available in which schema? Postgres schema and public schema also. So but what is the search path setting? Dollar user comma public. So dollar user is replaced with Postgres comma public. So in the Postgres schema itself, the table T1 is available. So the rest of the schemas will be ignored. So the moment it find out the table which we are looking for, then the rest of schemas will be ignored. Okay, what happens? The rest of the schemas will be ignored. And okay, so let's say there is a T1 table which is not there in the Postgres schema and the T1 table which is not there in the public schema as well, then it will throw an error stating table does not exist. So when the search path will come into picture? Search path will come into picture when you do not specify a fully qualified name. So search path is a list of schemas separated by comma to where the Postgres has to look into when you do not specify a fully qualified name. So now what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to drop the schema. How can you drop the schema? So if you want to drop the schema, the statement that you need to execute is drop schema name. This statement will fail if the schema contains any objects Okay, then what you need to do? Drop schema name cascade. Drop schema name cascade. How can you do? So let me try drop schema. What is this? Postgres. So I am not able to drop it because the table T1 is already there in the Postgres schema. So what I need to use? I need to use drop schema Postgres cascade. So it will drop the schema now. Okay. So now if I do like select star from T1, now it will give the data from the public schema because the Postgres schema is not available. And there is another command called, there is another function called current underscore schema, which talks about the list of available schemas from the search path. Current underscore schema. How can you do? Select current underscore schema. Okay, this gives the first available schema from the search path setting. So how can I do? Select. So what is search path setting? Show search underscore path. Select current underscore schema. So if you see that, what is the search path setting? $user count public. So what is the $user replaced with Postgres? So do we have any schema called Postgres? We used to have it, but we have deleted. So the next available schema is public. So select current underscore schema, then you can see public. So whenever you try to create a table, or whenever you try to retrieve the data from the table without specifying a fully qualified name, then it will try to create the object, or it will try to retrieve the data from the public schema. Okay, now what I am trying to do, right? So how can we set this search path? Okay, so search path is a parameter. So how can you do that? How can you change the parameter? You can change the parameter in how many ways? Two ways. One is a manual method, and second one is a, what is that? Alter system set command. So you need to practice them. Okay, so alter system set search underscore path equal to list of schema names. So first I'll keep public, comma, app underscore load. So this is what I need to keep. Okay, alter system set search underscore path equal to public, comma, app underscore load. So whenever you change any parameter, what you need to do? Either you need to go for a restarting or reloading type, depending upon the type of the parameter, and the search path settings need a reload. pg underscore. How can we reload? Whether you can use a pg underscore ctl command, or you can use pg underscore reload underscore conf function. Okay, now let's see. Show search underscore path. Okay, now let me try to execute select current underscore schema. It will throw an error because we did a wrong setting. Okay, how can you change the parameter? Is alter system set search underscore path equal to public, comma, app underscore load. Okay, now let me reload the cluster. How can I reload the cluster? Select pg underscore reload underscore conf. Okay, now let's do show search underscore path. Okay, public, comma, app underscore load. Okay, so this is how you can set the search path. Okay, how many ways you can set the search path? Okay, so search path setting can be set at global level or parameter level and database level, user level, and as well as session level. So these are all the different ways through which you can set the search path, and we are going to see one by one. Okay, so what is the global level? So whenever you set a search path at a global level, it is applicable to all the databases that are available in the Postgres cluster. For now, just remember that whenever you change any parameter in the parameter file using alter system set command or manual method, that will be applicable to all the databases that are available in the Postgres cluster. What is the database level? So you can set the search path at the database level also. So whoever connects to the database will and will be affected with the search path setting. Okay, it is a at a database level. It is a so whenever you are connected to the particular database, then only it comes into picture. User level means you can set the search path per user. So whenever you try to log in that user, then the search path setting will come into picture. What is the session level? Session level means whenever you connect to a particular database and you can set the search path at a session level. So the moment you disconnect from the session, the search path setting will be reset to the value which is there in the parameter file or database level or user level. So we are going to see one by one with an example and advantages and disadvantages of each setting. So now what I'm trying to do, right? First of all, I'm trying to check at the parameter level. Let's say DMS schema contains what? So now what is the search path setting? So search underscore path, right? So now what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to set the search path to only upload schema alter system set search underscore path equal to app underscore load. So now whenever you change any parameter, then you need to go for a restarting or reloading of the parameter. So this needs a reload. Select pg underscore reload underscore conf. Now let me check the current schema. Select current underscore schema. Okay, now let me try to create a table. Create table t2 n space numeric. Okay, created. So do you know in which do you know in which schema it got created? So in which schema it got created? Select schema name comma table name from pg underscore tables where table name equal to t2. This table got created. Select schema name comma table name from pg underscore tables. 1 minute. Underscore table name from pg underscore tables where table name equal to t2. This table t2 got created in the app load schema. Why? Because we kept the search path as a app underscore load, and you did not specify the fully qualified name, and the search path will comes into picture, and search path is set to app load schema. So it got created in the app load. So let me try to do select star from t1. When you do select star from t1, it will get the data from the t1 table which is there in the upload schema. Though the table is there in the public schema, but as we did not specify the fully qualified name, it will get the data from the t1 table which is there in the upload schema. So how you will get the data from the public schema? Public.t1 schema name dot table name. Likewise you will get it. Okay, so now you kept the settings at what level? Now you kept the settings at a parameter level, so which is applicable to all the databases that are available in the Postgres cluster, right? So now I am in the DMS database and I have a schema called app underscore load. Now what I'll do, right? I will connect to a EDW database. Do we have any schema called app underscore /dn? Do you have any schema called app underscore load in the EDW database? No. Now what is the search path here? The search path setting is app underscore load, and when you do like current underscore schema, it returns to blank. Sorry. So when you do like select current underscore schema, it returns to blank, and when you try to create a table, it throws an error. Create table t1 n space numeric. It throws an error because there is no schema called what? App underscore load. So from this, what you can conclude, it is not a good practice to set the search path setting at a global level or parameter level, because the same schema upload may or may not be available in the all the databases that are there in the all the database that are there in the Postgres cluster. So that is the reason why it is not recommended to set the search path setting at the parameter level. How can we reset this? Alter system reset search underscore path. Whenever you do reset, what happens? An entry from the postgresql.auto.conf will be removed, and the value from the postgresql.conf will be takes into picture. pg underscore conf underscore pg underscore reload underscore conf. Now the search path is now let us check the search path setting. $user comma public. So and when you try to create a table, it will get created in the public schema of the EDW database. Okay, T1 already there actually. Select star from T1. We have created long back. Okay. So this is the setting up a search path at a parameter level. So what is the disadvantage of it? When you set a search path at a parameter level, it is applicable to all the databases that are available in the Postgres cluster. But what happens? So if the database doesn't contain the schema which you kept it in the search path setting, then it will throw an error. So the next setting that we can do is database level we are done, and the parameter level we are done. Now we are talking about the database level. So how can I set the search path at a database level, right? So alter database database name, set search path equal to schema 1 comma schema 2, like this you can set. So now what I'll do, right, I'll try to create one schema in the EDW database. Create schema EDW underscore load. Okay, now what I'll do, right, alter database EDW set search underscore path equal to EDW underscore load comma public. Right, now let me disconnect from this and connect to EDW database. Now show search underscore path EDW load comma public. Now if you let me create a table, create table T2 n space numeric. Okay, now do like where it will get created, select schema name comma table name from pg underscore tables where schema name or where table name equal to T2. So it got created in the first available schema from the search path. So the first available schema is EDW load. Now what I'll do, I'll connect to the other database. So /c, what is the another database we have? Another database we have is a DMS. Now if you check the search path, so search underscore path, it will be something different because show search underscore path. So this is something different. See why it is something different? Because it is something different because why? Because we have set the search path at a database level. We have set the search path at a what? Database level. So whoever connects to the database will be assigned with the search path setting. So how can we check that? Select /d pg underscore db underscore role underscore settings. 1 minute. /d pg underscore db underscore role underscore setting. Yeah, select. So this is a table. pg underscore db underscore role underscore settings is a data dictionary which talks about the database level settings that we kept. Okay, now select. How can I set database? This is the type of what? OID, object identifier, comma set config talks about the configuration at the database level from pg underscore db underscore role underscore setting. So there is a 16391 database for which we kept the search path setting as a edw load comma public. What is 16391? How can we get it? Select void comma. So we have a void of a database. From the void of a database, how can we, from the void of this database, how can we check the database name? Select void comma dat name from pg underscore settings where, sorry, pg underscore database where void equal to 16391. See, the database name is edw. 1 minute. Hello. ఏంటది? నేను క్లాస్లో ఉన్నా రాహుల్. ఏమైంది? ఏమైంది? ఒక్క నిమిషం నేను వస్తున్నాను. Okay, select void comma dat name from pg underscore database where void equal to 16391. So it gives you a database name called edw. So how can we reset the search path? So alter database reset search underscore path. So then it, the alter database, so what is the database name? Alter database edw reset search underscore path. When you do this, the database level setting will be, okay, the database level setting will be vanished and it will take the value from the what? It will take the value from the parameter file. So this is how you can set the search path at a database level. So similarly, you can set a search path for a user also. How can we do that? Alter user demo set search underscore path equal to app underscore load. So when you do this, so whenever you log in as a whenever you log in as a demo user, then it will get affected. So now I logged in as a demo user to the Postgres database. Now do like show search underscore path. See, app underscore load. How can we reset this? Alter user demo reset search underscore path. This is how you can reset the search path for the user. Now how can you set the search path at a session level? So I logged in as which, now I'm logging off and I logged in as a Postgres user. Now set search underscore path equal to app underscore load, right? Now do like select show search underscore path. So this gives you the app underscore load as a setting, but when you quit and you log in again, so show search underscore path, it gives the data as a reason. So $user com public, which is from the parameter file. So the point that you need to remember here is when you set the search path, okay, when you set the search path at a session level, the moment you log out from the session, the value will be dropped automatically, okay, and it will take the value from the parameter file. So from this, so we can set the search path at a parameter level, we can set the search path at a database level, we can set the search path at a user level, and we can set the search path at a session level as well. But from this, what we can conclude is it is not recommended to set the search path at a parameter level, because whatever the databases that are available in the Postgres cluster, that may or may not be available in the that may or may not be available in the all the databases. That is the reason why it is not recommended to set the search path at what? Global level, and where we can set the search path, we can set the search path at the database level. It is recommended to set the search path at the database level, because whenever you set the search path at the database level, and the search path setting will be coming to picture if and only if you are connected to the database. So this is about the schema level management or schema management in Postgres. And so where we have seen how to create a schema, how to drop a schema, and like how can we create the particular objects in a schema, and like what is the search path, which is an important topic. And the next and last topic that we are going to discuss is, so how can we rename a schema? How can we rename a schema? Alter schema name edw underscore load rename to edw underscore l. So this is how you can reload a rename a schema. Okay, alter schema name, rename to new name. So this is how you can rename a schema. With this we have completed the schema management. In the next class, so we are going to discuss about the concept of archive log mode. So what is archive log mode, and how can we set up the archive log mode, and what are the parameters that are related to archive log mode, and all we are going to discuss. Any doubts so far? Any doubts? Okay, if not, yeah. Shiva, are you talking something? I mean, we are not able
No,
to.
no, no.
Yeah, yeah. So if not, just we will connect
No,
tomorrow.
excuse
Yeah.
me, Hari. Actually, could you please share the notes?
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I forgot actually. I'll share it.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.